You know who I'm talking about, right? That person who could be drowning in work, completely overwhelmed, but will absolutely, positively never ask for help. Well, today, we're going to get to the bottom of the psychology behind why they do it.
We all know someone like this. Maybe, just maybe, it's even you. The person who always insists, "I've got it," even when it's so clear they don't. So what's really going on behind that wall of self-reliance? Now, it's easy to just write them off as proud or stubborn, but honestly, that's just scratching the surface. The real reasons are buried way deeper, and they're a lot more complicated than you might think.
In fact, it turns out there are 4 hidden psychological blueprints, 4 core profiles that really explain this behavior. And by the end of this, I bet you'll have a much clearer idea of which one fits you or someone you know. Okay, so let's start with the first 2 types. Both of these are forged in the fires of a difficult past. Their refusal to ask for help, it isn't really a choice they're making today. It's more like a reflex, a reaction to the weight of their own history. First up, we've got the Numb Survivor. This is someone who's already been through the absolute worst, so nothing really phases them anymore. They don't ask for help because, life has let them down so many times, they've just stopped expecting anyone to show up.
And for the survivor, this independence isn't some peaceful Zen-like state. It's better described as a quiet armor, an armor they built piece by piece from past disappointments. Their ability to handle everything alone, well, it was paid for with a whole lot of sadness.
And the psychology behind this has a name. It's called learned helplessness. It's what happens when you've been repeatedly let down. Eventually, your brain just learns. It learns to stop expecting help. It's a survival mechanism that, over time, just becomes the default setting. I'll do it myself.
All right, our second type is the Perfectionist Overthinker. This is the person who needs every single detail to be just right. And they don't ask for help because the idea of handing over control, to them, that just feels like inviting chaos and mistakes into the situation.
And what's really fascinating is what's going on inside their head. For them, asking for help isn't a relief. It's actually more work. Why? Because their brain has already run 1,000 mental simulations of everything that could possibly go wrong. So delegating means they now have to manage all that potential chaos, which just feels way more exhausting than just doing it perfectly themselves.
So, here's the bottom line. Both of these types need control, but for totally opposite reasons. The Numb Survivor is reacting to the pain of the past. The Perfectionist Overthinker, they're trying to prevent the chaos of the future. One is a shield, the other is a strategy.
Okay, let's shift gears a little. The next 2 types, they aren't defined by trauma or fear. For them, self-reliance isn't a scar. It's an intentionally built strength. They are the architects of their own independence.
So type number 3 is what we're going to call the 1970s mindset. And no, you don't have to have been born then to have it. It's a psychology that was shaped by a culture of intense self-reliance, from a time before you could just Google the answer to every problem.
And this really gets to the core of how they see the world. When they don't ask for help, it's not them being cold or distant, it's them demonstrating their own capability. They learned early on that the world isn't always going to swoop in and rescue you, so you better learn how to rescue yourself.
And you can see this mindset in action every day. When something breaks, what's the first instinct? Repair it, don't replace it. When a plan falls apart, you adapt. You don't panic. And when you hit a roadblock, you just start figuring it out. You don't wait around for help to arrive. It's a really hands-on, proactive approach to life.
And that brings us to our 4th and honestly rarest type, the self-determined soul. These folks don't avoid asking for help out of fear or necessity. They do it because they get a genuine, deep satisfaction from using their own skills.
This is all grounded in a really cool idea called self-determination theory. It basically says that our deepest sense of happiness comes from 3 things. Feeling in control of our lives, that's autonomy. Feeling capable, that's competence. And feeling connected to what matters to us. The self-determined soul is completely fueled by these internal drivers.
And that's the key difference right there. The 1970s mindset became self-reliant because the world made them that way. It was a practical necessity. But the self-determined soul builds their self-reliance because of an internal drive for mastery and fulfillment. It really boils down to the difference between I have to do this and I want to do this.
So now that we've walked through these 4 very different profiles, we can start to see our own patterns a little more clearly, right? Let's put it all together and see if we can figure out your own internal blueprint.
Here it is, all in one spot. You've got the survivor, driven by past trauma. The overthinker, driven by a fear of the future. The 1970s mindset, shaped by what the world threw at them, and the self-determined soul, motivated by that inner fire for fulfillment. As you look at this, do you see yourself or someone you know in one of these?
And that leaves us with one final, really important question to think about: your own independence, your self-reliance. Is it a shield you're holding up to protect yourself from past or future pain? Or is it a solid foundation you've built, one that you can launch yourself from? The answer to that question, well, it changes everything.